수 없단 말인가 내 마음 설레이는가 어쩌면 좋을까 나의 루이스 그처럼 슬며시 나를 바라볼 뿐이네 가슴은 터질 듯 나의 루이스 그처럼 슬며시 나를 바라볼 뿐이네 Brother Louis, oh she's a looking funny Oh lady Louis, she's undercover Brother Louis, oh everybody Louis So he's Louis, cause I'm her lover Brother Louis, oh she's only looking funny Oh lady Louis, she's undercover Brother Louis, oh everybody Louis So he's Louis, cause I'm her lover Brother Louis, oh she's only looking funny Oh lady Louis, she's undercover Brother Louis, oh everybody Louis So he's Louis, cause I'm her lover
Okay, my microphone is connected. They should be able to hear me. And they should be able to hear you as well. So,
Awu, this is
hi.
Naya Goes Awu.
Yep. Um, it's very nice to meet you. I've seen you in a lot of stuff, obviously. I think,
Yeah, I've been in quite a few different documentaries and media and stuff.
yeah, of course, the first thing that I ever saw you in was, the infamous one, the Vice one, right?
On all levels except physical, I am a wolf. Insert Chihuahua bark here.
Yeah, I think that when I first, I'll just be honest. When I first saw it, obviously I was a kid and very dumb. It came out in 2013, right? Am I right about that?
You're correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was filmed for it a year, like at the year before it came out, and then it came out.
Huh. So you did it in 2012, and then they released it in 13.
Correct.
I see. Yeah, so that's around when I would have seen it, and that was like, what was I doing in 2013? Being Wizard Fans admin. That's what I was doing. Yeah. So I definitely saw it. I don't remember like if I saw it when it first came out or if I saw it in 14, but I know that I did. And even then I thought, that it was a little unfair. I mean, I I mean I did laugh at you, but that's just the way that they edited it. I'm not gonna lie. But
I
but
mean, it was extremely cringy.
yeah.
So they actually filmed me over the period of a week. So they flew out to where I was. They've filmed me over the period of about a week, and then they used the worst bits. In the infamous scene, I was actually coached. They kind of were like, "Hey, look at the water and give us a bark." I wouldn't normally bark. I do howl sometimes. So that's what we got. And then the whole quote on all levels except physical was actually filmed days earlier in my initial interview with them. So it was this huge process for a terrible product.
Yeah, I don't understand why, you know, but I now that I've done so much mainstream media, I can tell you that my first experience with the mainstream media was terrible, right? I
Yeah,
it was like with Al Jazeera America, and it totally changed everything about how I do media. everything. You know. I am realizing that I'm only outputting on one channel, so just 2 seconds. I'm gonna break it and then put the one channel into both, like I have to do. Okay, disconnect. Okay, is that the right channel? Was that? Nope. Why didn't that work? Oh, okay. Ooh, that is. So wait, the capture is going into capture. What? Sorry, people. It's funny that we actually started on time today. People that watch my streams a lot know that we don't usually start on time. I tried pretty hard to get this one to start on time, and I think it's paying off a little, but okay, what I have to do is break the left channel. Break that. And now, if I put the right channel.
We did to the person saying that we actually did pre-stream
We
chat.
did, yeah. Okay, there you go. Now it's coming over both. So basically what happens is, I don't know if this laptop is broken. I don't know if it's a Linux audio thing, but the internal microphone only outputs on one channel, and I didn't notice it one time. And so one of my streams, actually the one that's most important, the one that Jim Watkins threatened to kill me over, only has one stream and it cannot be fixed. Like, if you are a headphone user, it sucks to be you. You just
I still can't believe he threatened to kill me. Like, all the stuff he's done over everything. I was reading a little bit on the background. It's just like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, you're in your like 40s or something, and
50s actually. He's in his 50s.
and you're acting like a 5-year-old essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, worse.
People are saying the audio is breaking up.
My audio is?
I believe so. We got odd leg, now it's jittering, is what people are saying.
Well, let me look at it. Hold on. I did try to fix it so it would come over both channels, but maybe it might just be better to... Oh. Why does it do that?
For what it's worth, I think it's only affecting headphone users, because I can hear you fine. Yeah, people are saying do one channel, it's better, for sure.
Okay, how about this? Because now I, like, changed... Is this any better, chat? What do you guys think? I do try to make it so that both channels work, because I had it for a moment, lol. Cheers, the door. It's coming over both channels, but breaking up. So, is this any better?
Feedback, please.
Sounds much better. Alright, yeah. Great, I'm glad. Thank you, everyone. Well, well now it's a very, very, So what happened is, I showed Naya, of course, like this Galaxy Brain interface that I have to use. I'm going to show everybody by adding the image, so it's not like, you know, Fred is just bad at stuff here. It's actually not that easy to use, and I don't know how else to do it. You know, like, I really don't know how else I could keep this secure, but also, like, have it, you know, not be, like, have it be easier to use. I don't know. So, hold on, let me press plus.
I think that's the InfoSec dilemma that everybody has.
Yeah.
Between security and ease of use.
Yeah, for sure. Because I do want it to be, you know, I want people to, like, enjoy the stream and for the audio to be good and it to come over both channels. But And also start on time, right? But getting all of that stuff to happen in one stream, especially with only free software, which adds even another impediment. It's a challenge. It's a fun one. I mean, I enjoy doing it this way, and I wouldn't definitely would not change it. We were talking a little bit about that. How like I think you're the only guest who we've ever tried to even use like a free software version of the call. Unfortunately, we're using Discord this time, but I do.
Yeah, we were trying to get Jitsi to work, but that just wasn't going to happen today, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'm displaying on the screen now. That is the actual interface that I use to configure the audio for this. That's what it looks like, and I.
So it's showing your furry art. It's not showing.
Oh, I know.
You.
Yeah, it was while I was trying to find the window. Yeah. The stream, I think it has like a 35-second delay. Yeah, when I was like scrolling through that's another buggy OBS thing. Like I don't know why it does that. Okay, so anyway, you can see like how it's connected, guys. It's so confusing looking, and when you open and close programs, they never go in the same places. And I can't fault them for it working this way, because I understand how Pipewire works, and there is no better way to do it. Like, this interface is the best you're going to get, so it's not even like Fred can just be, with his insane MFUK Foundation. I will pay you 10 grand to fix this, I've said stuff like that before and actually paid. I mean, but I don't know if you know that. Yeah, I have a nonprofit.
I've got an LLC, so.
Well, I have a nonprofit that pays for changes to free software. That's all that it does.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But for example, one of the things we paid for was a vanity address generator for Monero. I thought it would be a really funny idea. It was a really funny idea. I actually didn't think that the bounty would be taken so quickly. I was shocked because I didn't think I offered enough. The offer was like 4.9 thousand, and it was a complicated program. It had to use the NVIDIA, right? So it had to be CUDA, not OpenCL. It had to support my laptop, so that meant that it had to be a recent one. It also had to beat the existing solution. Like, there were all these requirements, and somebody did it in 24 hours. And so I had to pay them over $4,000. I was fine with it, though. I was like, hey, you know what? I overestimate the difficulty of the problem. Like, that's totally on me, not you. You shouldn't suffer for that. So,
right. The offer was made. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless the person is just enigmatic about it and well, it didn't take, and because I know that you donate a lot, but I don't expect people to do that, and I don't even offer. I don't put that idea in their head that they can do that. If they just have it on their own, fine. But
yeah.
So that's one of the things we paid for. Another thing I paid for was okay, I make a lot of fonts, but the stroking. So if you have an outline, like a vector outline that isn't already in type design, they call it noodled. Like, it doesn't already have an outline around it. You can run an algorithm to figure out where that outline should be, and how many curves. And it's actually really complicated math. There's a lot of ways to do it as well. And there were a lot of solutions, obviously, for doing it. But the problem is most of them are for rasterizers. So they don't output curves. They just output pixels, which will not work in a font editor. And all the solutions that would work, I had found issues with. And so I just... it costed... Oh my god, how much did it cost? I think $24,000 over 6 months to work on MFPK stroke. Yeah, that was an expensive one. But, it's the one that I use the most and that I'm happiest with, so... what else? I mean, they're all listed. I have to. So, yeah, hey, if you want a grant from me, I give them out. So, but you probably don't want to work on font editors. I doubt it. You're way too cool for that. Only the nerds like Fred. Okay, sorry for that tangent. I just wanted people to understand.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I go on tangents myself, so I completely get it.
Yeah, I'm autistic AF. All of them.
Hey,
All of my viewers know it. You know. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Kiwi Farms. What we're actually here to do. We got the intros out. Unless you've got more, but like I've seen you in a lot of stuff. Actually, how about one more intro? Tell people what happened with What Is a Woman. People need to know that.
right. So Matt Walsh is he's a piece of crap. What he ended up doing is he formed a fake LLC called the Gender Unity Project. Oh my god, I'm echoing now. Oh my gosh. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, sorry. Did I break something?
They're saying that I'm echoey.
Well, I muted myself when you were. No, I know why. Because I knew you were going to talk for a while, so I muted myself. Yeah, you won't be echoing, I promise.
Okay. So essentially wow, I cannot talk. Matt Walsh founded a thing called the Gender Unity Project, and he misrepresented. So I had no idea who Matt Walsh was at the time. I was contacted by somebody who identified themselves as Rebecca. They used a fake last name. They claimed to be with the Gender Unity Project LLC, and they completely misrepresented what the project was about. So we go through that. They end up flying me into DC to do the interview. So I go to DC in this like shared office space. Get to the office space, and there's a guy kind of sitting at the desk. I've worked in sensitive positions. I recognize the guy's printing.
Wait, didn't they want to email? Like, didn't they? I'm sorry. Didn't the email say that you were going to go to Austin, Texas at first? What happened?
Oh yeah. So originally I was going to go to Austin, Texas, and then I got shifted around to DC. Yeah, it was this huge mess.
Holy shit! It was so shady.
Yeah. So
what was their
I guess-
explanation for that? I'm sorry.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Something about some sort of emergency, so it has to go to DC now. And I will say, when I've done some other productions before, there's been spur of the moment changes, but not to that level. That was just strange. But anyway, when I get there, the first person I see, he winds up being Matt's bodyguard. And like I said, he was printing heavily. I knew he was concealed
Oh,
carrying.
wait a minute. Matt Walsh has a bodyguard? What
Yes,
the fuck? Why
yes.
does he need a bodyguard? I don't have a bodyguard other than my dog. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so I get there and I notice this guy's heavily print. I'm like, so you must be security. He looks at me strange. I guess he didn't expect me to call him out. He goes, yeah, yes, ma'am. I said, for the studio? No, ma'am, for Matt. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, because I didn't know who Matt Walsh was. I was under this pretense, oh, this is the Gender Unity Project. And I'm just like, am I being interviewed by Matthew McConaughey or something?
Yeah, I mean, in your position, I can understand that. I might have
This
thought.
guy must be some sort of big shot if he has like a bodyguard, like that's where my mind is going.
Hey, you know where
But
mine would have went? I would have thought it's an Antifa dude. That's what I would have thought. Like, is this just some hardcore Antifa National Socialist Rifle Association? You know, that's what I would have thought.
So I get in there and they mic me up and stuff, and then I meet Matt, and I'm like, this hip. I'm just thinking, who is this weird hipster dude? Like, I've never seen him before. I didn't really have a context for him, and he just starts grilling me. Well, first of all, I'd like to start. What is a woman? What is a woman to you? And I just start replying. At that point, I kind of sense the hostility, and I'm just like, do you not have a dictionary? Do you not have access to Google?
And they barely
Why-
used any of what you did, right? That's what you said to me, and I remember in the movie, like, I didn't even remember you appeared, and I did once you
didn't.
mentioned it, of course, but like,
They didn't use 90% of my interview.
yeah, like 30
Because
seconds is in there.
I was just literally essentially defending myself in a way that there's no way he could have used the clip without looking bad.
Yeah, and he totally used it again, just like Vice did, back in the day, just to defame you. It's shitty. Like, honestly, of everybody I've ever met, see, people in people in the conservative space always like to talk about how the media is mistreating them, by saying like the factual shit that they do, that the media is somehow after them. I, I rarely will say to somebody, you have been mistreated by the media. I think that's true of you. You actually have been.
I remember seeing this article. Oh, well, conservative viewpoints, they never get represented, because the left is very good at, providing all this evidence and making their viewpoint seem more solid and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, so what you're saying is your viewpoint doesn't have evidence and you're mad that it's not respected. The same way.
Yeah, I mean, what that means is your viewpoint has no evidence, and the people who believe in it are dumb. I mean, come on, like, oh my god, is that real? Oh, oh, they go so mask off sometimes. Jesus. Well, yeah, okay. The thing about your appearance in What Is a Woman also, correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't they bring you in to try to do this whole stupid thing where it was like, well, some people think they're animals, right? It wasn't that.
Yes. So they were trying to make this comparison, like, oh, this is the extreme end of things. You've got people, identifying as wolves, and that's part of why he actually couldn't use a large bit of my interview, because I said right out of the gate that my theory and identity and my trans identity are not the same thing. I don't view myself as trans species. I am fully aware of the fact that there is no medical procedure to turn me into a wolf. In fact, that's not even what I would be seeking. So what he was trying to use me for, he literally picked the wrong Therian to try and do that to. So he's left with all this footage that he can't use. So what he's ending up having to do is he's ending up having to just use the, oh, look, wolf quote, and then have this psychologist, therapist, whoever the school lady is, oh, yeah, kids are saying they're cats, and because it's a queer identity, we can't do anything.
What the hell?
Number one, that's not happening. What she's actually referring to is that viral post about the litter boxes in schools, which was very, very, very thoroughly debunked.
Oh yeah, by Patchmut Press, friend of the show. Friend of the show.
Yeah.
Well, never been on the show, but friend of me, so therefore friend of the show. Yeah, or Dog Patch Press, not Patmut. Patchmut Press. Patchmut is.
What about name. Dog Patch?
You know the website, dogpatchpress.com.
Yeah, I know the person behind it pretty well too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, that person, thoroughly debunked it, and you're exactly right. Okay, so yeah. Even though they had that, like, the thing that was crazy to me about them using the old clip is that for a viewer who's not, like, terminally online, it's not even clear that you're the same person anymore. Before we did this, right? Because I have the file on my computer. You know why. I can't say why, but you know why. I watched the clip again, right? And so, if I was a third-party viewer, that just, I just go to church every Sunday, and I want to know what a woman is, because my pastor told me, like, the way that they do it, it's not clear that you're the same person. Do you agree, or maybe not?
So I agree. So a couple of the interviews I've done, when I actually make an effort on my appearance, I think I look relatively good. I showed you the picture of me in like the galaxy dress and such, with my hair done and all that. So especially in situations like that, I don't look the same. On the What Is a Woman interview, that's one of the interviews where I kind of did my hair differently. I had blue hair at the time. I don't even look like the same person. I do agree. I think if you're, into internet culture and you know the meme and you remember the voice, you could piece it together. But yeah, it's not super clear. When I'm out in public, I get recognized for my TikTok. occasionally, because my TikToks, of course, I have more updated videos of me. But I only get recognized for the quote if I say it. I've went over into Starbucks and I've seen someone kind of staring at me with that little, I look you look familiar to me
Right.
stare. And I'll kind of say the line. I'll be like, on all levels, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's not you," and I'm like, "Yes, yes, it is."
But I mean, okay. Before we move on from this, because there is legitimately a lot to talk about Kiwi Farms, I did want to ask though, like, couldn't you say that, do you think this is true for you, that the reason that at that time you were so latching onto, like, the idea of being, like, on all levels but physical, I'm a wolf, right? Is that you were struggling with trans issues, but you weren't out in that way yet? And so it's
Um,
really transphobic to even, like, you know, use.
so
Yeah.
I don't equate my Therian identity to my trans identity. My Therian
Well, sure, I'm
identity,
not trying to do that. I'm just saying, like, when you were struggling, right? As I have with
yeah,
all this stuff, like, could you have been doing
I
that as,
think
like,
I do think I clung to the wolf identity a little too hard. I kind of made that the forefront of my life. I'm a very multifaceted person. I'm involved in
yeah, that's what
investigations.
I mean, yeah.
I'm involved in infosec. I'm involved in some different sort of things. But back then, I just it was almost deflection. Oh, I've got this wolf thing. If
Exactly.
they make fun of me for that, that's all they're going to make fun of me for, right? Because it's what I'm throwing out there.
Right.
So I did kind of use it as a bit of a shield. So yeah, I kind of get where you're going.
Well, yeah, that's all I was trying to say, because in my own experience, right? I mean, I had very good OPSEC about the furry thing. For a decade. Very good OPSEC. I mean, I think I first was into it when I was like 15. That's a lot of years. That's 13 years. I'm 28 now. That,
Same age.
oh, yeah, very cool. Um, that's so interesting. So, yeah, that's kind of why, like, we were both dumb kids at the same time. Jesus Christ. Okay, so anyway, I, yeah, wow. Okay, so I feel like I would use other stuff, that's weird, to, like, deflect from, the furry thing. Yeah, because, like, I also thought that I was hot shit and that my OPSEC would never be broke. And it probably never would have been, um, if I didn't feel bad for someone, but we don't have to go over, like, how it got broke. I'm glad that it did, actually. I, I don't know if I would have. I wonder about it sometimes, like, if things had gone different. Like, would I have decided to be a furry as a public figure? I don't know. I mean,
I think we all make mistakes and wonder if things have got what could go different. Like I still do this to this day, especially in my personal life. You know what I mean? But who knows?
yeah, because, you know, I can get really into routines due to autism, right? And so I just won't think about it after a while. Like, why am I maintaining this extremely complicated operational security over this thing that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
I I'll just keep doing it because I'm so used to it. I've been doing it for, let's see. It was broken 2 years ago, so it would have been 11 years, right? Of
Yeah.
keeping a secret from everyone in the world while still being online on a different account, which is very hard to do, especially when you're a trans admin. Because I had been doing it even during that time, right? So, and then after leaving, and then after everything that happened with the Q people, nobody knew. So, um, yeah, I think that, you know, I would have eventually just stopped because it was becoming a hassle, like in a way where it was just annoying, you know. And what actually broke it was the fact that, okay, I used to have basically middlemen. They weren't always men, but middle first, I guess, who would pay artists on my behalf, but not really knowing that who I am even, because most
Right.
furry artists don't take crypto. So I would pay them crypto, see? And then they
And
would.
then they would go pay the furry artist.
Yup. I probably. God, I don't even know how much I spent that way. But yeah, that was the main way that I would do it. And so it was just becoming such a fucking hassle, though. And one of these middlemen scammed the artist, right? And so I basically just was like, okay, I will send it to you from my real account. I'm sorry. Because I do want to make this right, but like lining somebody else up in a short time is not going to happen. And, you know, they didn't know who I was. I could have disappeared. But I didn't want to do that. And so I did, you know, under my real account. And then, you know, their DMs leaked. And anyway, that's what happened. So,
We got an interesting question in here. Was this is from Ross Fox Fox? Was the green 8chan Infinity logo foreshadowing of being a green raccoon?
no, okay, so the funny thing is, HM's logo I didn't even draw. God, there's an ancient Bitcoin talk thread where I offer like this contest for people to draw one. And yeah, it wasn't the original one that I drew was yellow. It like was gold, you know, the 8, and it was more obviously an infinity sign. And then the second one that came from Bitcoin Talk was like more snake looking, you know, but not quite. It was just stylized, and like the infinity sign was broken in the middle, and then like it was pretty ugly, and so uh, a user, you know, drew the logo, that the ultimate green one that ended up getting used. However, I mean, there was so many things I did on 8chan that, like, okay, first of all, the very idea of 8chan comes from a furry image board. It's called Image Board for Free. But I never admitted that to anyone. Right? So, do you remember Image Board for Free? IB for Free?
I think so, actually.
Yeah, IB for Free. It's where U18chan started. It started as an IB for Free site. So, IB for Free, you remember how things used to be on the internet. You had, like, Envision Free. You could set up a free forum.
Oh my gosh, the Envision free cringy roleplay.
Oh yeah, I did a lot of that. Oh my god. Yeah, yup. I did so many cringe Sonic RP as like a little kid. Like 11, 10.
I am still a Sonic fan, so I can't fault you there.
Well, I still am in a way, but definitely not to the crazy degree that I was back then. Oh my god. So, anyway, I mean, yeah, it, 8chan, it's true that I came up with the idea while I was on psychedelic mushrooms. That's always been true. But it's not true that, like, I didn't know of the precedent of IB for free. I just didn't know how to make IB for free actually work. Because the problem with IB for free was you could create a whole site, not just one board. And so, that's really easy for bad actors to use. So, you know, it would just get spammed constantly, or they would flood with, you know, tons of images, and IB for free was just never going to work. So that's why the, like, you know, it had all this board, like 8chan had all this board rotation and stuff, and it was just, you know, you get one board, and you have to actually put in some work, like a CAPTCHA to make the board, and
Yeah.
your board get, like it was very controlled compared to IB for free. So that's, yeah, but of course I didn't tell anybody that, like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, you know, I'm a furry and I'm starting this based on IB for free. You know, that's the precedent. No. I just was like, oh yeah, you know, you make your own boards. It's an infinite chan. Well, like, what do you want? What do people want from me? So,
And that's the thing. The site and turned into such a monster, but the original concept was just such a simple, you know, essentially harmless concept. You know, let's make our own image board. I mean, it's just like it can be likened to Envision Free or Pro boards or something like that. And it was just used in such a, you know what I mean, in such a way.
well, I definitely blame Watkins for that. We don't have to talk too much about this history unless you're interested in it, but I people don't tend to understand how early Watkins came in. Like, I really only owned it for the year 2013 and some of 2014.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, like by I have it all written down somewhere because it's come up in legal cases, and Watkins has admitted it also that like basically he just took it. So I transferred everything to their servers in August 2014, and the post, like the Gamergate post by that guy Aaron Johnny or Joni, whatever his fucking name is. I that Judd. He that happened in July, I think. And so there was like no time. Watkins snapped that up so fast. Now, it got transferred to his servers in August. So that means that like he had legal responsibility for what happens on it,
Mhm.
but I still had ownership stake. However, I lost that in January 2015, so only a few months later. Because this thing with the domain switch happened, and he said it would be temporary, but then he decided not to change it back. Very clever. Yeah. So that's like 8chan's basic story. I agree that the idea was not fundamentally at a technical level. That's why I focus so much on admins, and that's a perfect segue into Kiwi Farms. Why I don't like Kiwi Farms, because people ask me.
The admin's directly involved in the
Yeah,
hate.
there you go.
Kiwi. That's really the difference there.
That's totally it. It's like, okay, as an image board admin, all image board admins are aloof to a degree. I think I was one of the most aloof image board admins, worse than Moot in some ways. Like, because I just had no interest in 90% of what my users are talking about. And I was just using, like, hacks so that none of the global volunteers, because all of the IPs were visible to global volunteers. But when I would post, it would change the IP so that, like, before it even got inserted into the database, such that it seemed like I was just posting from somewhere in America, and it wouldn't create a mod log entry or anything. So I would just post on the furry board like a lot, and so I, yeah, I was quite aloof as an admin, and the last episode of this show, I was actually talking to Mark, who like was instrumental really in making me kind of see things his way, at least for the short time that I did in Gamergate, because I'm not a gamer. Uh One of the symptoms of autism I have is I'm not good at hand-eye coordination, so I don't play games hardly at all. Like, as a kid, I would always just watch like the other kids in foster care play because I'm just that bad at it. I would lose to a 7-year-old most likely. So,
Oh wow.
oh yeah, it's not great. Um, so I don't know about this. Like, I don't even care about video game journalism, and so you know, to their credit, the people that were in on this, like Milo Yiannopoulos and all of them, were convincing to the during the time that it worked, and yeah, and by the time Watkins had control, I mean, he was a far right asshole. He was never gonna, never gonna reconsider. So yeah, also they scammed me by pretending that they owned 2channel legitimately, but that's a whole other story. But to talk about Kiwi Farms, the admin's directly involved. And, even Jim, as much of a dick as Jim is, right? Like, he has never so far used the Q account to post somebody's docs, right?
Right.
And Jim is one of the worst image board admins, but even he doesn't do that. Do you want to tell people? Because I actually don't know. I don't follow like people's Kiwi Farms threads. I don't go there. I only go there if like
Yeah, so the staff actively participate, and the other bit is,
I
with
know I know a lot
image-
about this site, but I mean like just like what? Why were you added?
So I was added. That's actually a really funny story. I was originally added, and I don't know this for sure, but it looks like by somebody very disgruntled with my website. I own a large Otherkin website. I'm controversial in the Otherkin community because I've done so many TV things. It's an unwritten rule. We don't talk to the media, etc., etc. So that's kind of where the thread originally came from. That's why I think, and I could be wrong, but 9 times out of 10, I'm right in these speculations. That's why I think Desert Eagle or whatever their name is wrote the thread. Where my thread really started blowing up is I was dating a person named Alyssa, and I'm not going to give a full name for fear of defamation and all of that.
Oh, no need.
But she was not well. And granted, I did some things I'm not proud of as well. I really wanted to fix the relationship. I felt like, given everything she's been through in life, growing up and, past that, I felt like, there was a point in the relationship where I was the closest thing to some semblance of normal that she's had. And that's funny to think because I'm definitely not normal. But I was trying to fix it. But she has severe delusions. This is somebody who's told me every other week that she believes that she's pregnant, even though no sexual activity has occurred. I mean, that level of has literal false beliefs. And she decided, her and her other partner decided that they were going to post a whole bunch of nonsense without any real proof about me on Kiwi Farms. In that thread that the person who didn't like my website started. So that's really where it blew up, and it just kind of took off from there. It was never started with any sort of noble intentions. It was never Naya did something so terrible and we need to let the world know about Naya. It was never benevolent intentions.
Even if it were, bringing it to Kiwi Farms is not the right value.
And an ex-partner who had an axe to grind. And that's where the thread started, and it just kind of grew from that.
Gotcha. So, I said, like, even if it were Kiwi Farms, not the right venue, if you're trying to, like, actually change things positively in the world, pretty sure everybody... Okay, you should have known that as early as 2013, I never thought that, like, even when Moon was working on fucking 8chan software, I never thought that, like, oh yeah, the Kiwi Farm is a great place to make positive change in the world. No. Right? Like, he was just who 8chan could afford with Jim Watkins' Hobo Drift. So, to explain the Hobo Drift, basically, the Hobo Drift goes like this. It's where, okay, earlier in the call, we talked about how, like, I have this nonprofit, right? So I don't ask for donations, ever. Since I've been able to, like, correct my life after I had to leave the Philippines, just when not expecting it, that was the only time I, like, asked for donations, and, now I was able to fix things financially, like, a lot, and so I don't need to do that, and Jim doesn't need to do it either, and, to a degree, I don't think Moon needs to do it either, but he plays up the Hobo Grift a little bit too. We can talk about that, because we're going to talk about their finances. However, Watkins and Moon, how they got involved was, Jim was being obstinate about replacing 8chan software. It really needed replacing. And having me, this crippled guy on, like, let's see, Oxy and other shit, right? And just is up 24 hours at a stretch sometimes trying to run this website, as your sole employee on it, was not going to end well. And the software was at such a state because the original author, Michael Horowitz, that's what he calls himself. I don't know his real name. He called himself Michael Save once. Anyway, people claimed that Horowitz was his real last name. I don't know. But Michael saved the internet. In 2010, he wrote it while he was high on cocaine. He admitted that to everybody. Yeah. The Bichan fork. was written by Marcin Łabanowski. He's Polish. He has a huge drinking problem, or at least he did at the time that he wrote it. And so, like, he would make commits sometimes and then have to revert them when he woke up in the morning and was sober. Yeah, but this is the
Oh my
level
gosh!
of
Like I can just imagine him drunk committing something, and then he wakes up and he's like, "What the hell did I just?"
yeah, that would happen. Okay, and then I, right? I get my galaxy brain idea. Holy shit! I know how to fix image board for free and also trick image board users into accepting a furry board. I have to work on this right away. So while coming off mushrooms, right? And so I make 810 while also high. So it's been just 3 drug users, right? One after the other, working on this software. And it was never written for a large website. It was
I mean,
written.
that tracks.
Yeah, yeah, it totally tracks. And so it was falling apart, like in every possible way. And so Moon was basically the only one in this space that was a fucking developer that needed a job. And so it was decided that, like, and he ran the fundraiser himself, but I supported it. And so he ran like a fundraiser to replace HDN software because it was that bad. And Josh wouldn't pay, or sorry, Jim Watkins wouldn't pay for it. And I think Jim was just kind of expecting that I would eventually fix it on my own, you know? And that's not what ended up happening.
God damn, man.
Yeah, but anyway, that's how I met Moon. Um, so he comes in and he does it, but he gets scammed by Jim Watkins because he okay. Moon actually had like a reasonable offer. I know it's crazy, but he did something reasonable in his life, where he was like, "All right, $8,000 a month, you know, or sorry, a quarter, or maybe it was even a year. I don't even remember. No, it was a quarter. Yeah, 8,000 a quarter. So to maintain the software, like in perpetuity." And Jim Watkins said no, and so
What do you think? He was gonna find someone cheaper?
yeah, that's what he thought. He thought that I would stay. Yup. He thought that I would stay, but I was getting sick of it. And he did eventually find someone cheaper, by the way. His fucking son, Ron. So,
Of course. It would have to be nepotism because no reasonable developer is going to do all that for such a large scale for that price.
right, exactly. And I, you know, when you're really young, you don't even know the scale of the problem you're tackling. I didn't know all of this like stuff that goes into running a large website when I was like working on Tinyboard with like Save the Internet way back in fucking 2010, and then Marcin in 2013, right? Like, or no, that was 2012. I just it all hits you, and it's like, wow, this is like really hard actually, and one person can't do it, and that was becoming increasingly clear. So I was sick of it, and yeah, it all came to a head and blow up. But here's the funny thing: to this very day, Jim Watkins thinks he's in the right on that, and he will probably not let the Kiwi Farms use Vanwa Tech.
I think it's hilarious. And I also think that, when somebody creates a site, and I just administrating it, it's not even nearly on the same scale, but just administrating community. From a policy, administrative, and user facing perspective, that's not what I'm about. Like, I can do it. I wrote our terms and rules. I think they're reasonable, but that's not what my skill set is. My skill set is actually the building of the community. So now that we've got a community and users are kind of going to it, especially something like 8chan, that's a completely different situation. You've got developers who are making something. They're not necessarily skilled community moderators or people essentially oriented oriented individuals. and it's almost, and I think the word you use good, it's almost aloofness that allowed the site to get as bad as they are. But then you've got the Kiwi Farms. Their full intention, the intention of Joshua Moon, is for that content to prevail. It's not that he's aloof or that he, believes in free speech, so he doesn't moderate a whole lot. They do moderate a ton on Kiwi Farms.
Oh, they do.
They delete posts, they ban people from threads, etc. It's very different to have something that goes wrong due to almost inattentiveness of staff versus the blatant malice that is Moon.
Yeah, you know what annoys me about Moon is when he pretends that, like, oh, he has no control. His users would just, pillory him if he were to delete this thread. Gonzalo Lira, but can you please give me a Ukraine visa? That is what annoys me because, like, okay, I just don't like liars, and he's a liar because he would protect people. Okay, Ethan Ralph, for example, was not liked on the Kiwi Farms for a while, but they were good with each other, Ethan Ralph would go on Mad at the Internet, and Moon would go on Ethan Ralph's show. And so Ethan Ralph did not have a thread for a while. Like a long while. Way longer than like they wanted to have one. And so he pretends that he doesn't protect people. He pretends he protected me, and I didn't ask him to. I never would have asked him to. But he just did. Because, like, he thought, it would be bad to have Fred as an enemy. Ha, correct. Womp womp. But, yeah, like, he protects people. It's so fucking obvious. And, okay, why are the targets always trans? Because he is super fucking transphobic. And I saw that in person.
Yeah, he's very... Just how he operates. The targets of Kiwi Farms, generally speaking, are people that Moon personally has a dislike of. It's very, and again, that's where it's a little different from something like 8chan or even 4chan. The hatred on Kiwi Farms comes from the top down. It's not from the users overrunning the site, and I can't do anything. There's too many of them. It's a cult of personality is what it is, and they're taking his cues. It's not that he's just powerless and sitting here and they're doing stuff and oh, woe is me. They're getting all of this from him. This is his ideology that these users are sharing and kind of forming a community around. And to say that he's not complicit in it is a bold-faced lie.
Absolutely. It's such a bold-faced lie. I think that especially like with the Kiwi Farms, people sometimes say, "Well, Fred, wouldn't you say that you do a lot of the same stuff that the Kiwi Farmers do?" Because I do a lot of archival, and I do a lot of making fun of people online. Like Watkins and Moon and Jim Stewartson and who else? Richard Spencer recently blocked me. I've got quite the crew, and so I would say that the difference is, like, Moon does it in this way where he just pretends that his users are totally like out of his control, and that he would very much like to delete your thread, Gonzalo, but he can't. It's just petty and shitty. And I also think that he picks on people for no fucking good reason. Like, okay, one of the reasons I call this show Bad at the Internet is because I don't think that vigilantism is good. I would never do anything, almost, that the farmers do. But another thing is, the fucking Kiwi farmers are bad at the internet. Their research is bad, almost all of the time. It's so flawed.
Agreed. They're terrible at OSINT, and another thing they're really bad at, on top of just verifying that information is true, they're bad at direct action. When my website was attacked, we use a solution that I and a friend developed called Fang AI. which blocks most VPNs, disposable email providers. It does some fingerprinting. Long story short, it makes it very difficult to do a coordinated attack in a normal way.
Oh, it's
So
like
these
enemies
users,
list, right? It's like enemies
yeah.
list.
So these users of Kiwi Farms, what they wind up doing to circumvent Fang AI is they used their home connections. So they're not even good at OPSEC. I've got several people who were part of a attempted raid on my site, and they're connecting from Comcast or Ziply Fiber or AT&T or Verizon, and I'm just like, dude, if you're gonna be the big scary Kiwi Farms and go raid people, you need to have better OPSEC. And by doing this, if I had the time and the effort, I could file John Doe lawsuits against all of you, get you identified, and go after you legally. And that's not a legal threat, because I know they're going to be like, oh my God, Naya's making law. No, I'm just saying your OPSEC is bad.
I totally
You're
agree.
not
Yeah.
good at what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I would even go further. I would say that if I ran a popular website right now, I might do that just for the laughs. So, if you want to say anybody's making a legal threat right now, it might be Fred. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. John Doe lawsuits? Heaven forbid. Yeah, no, that might be pretty funny.
There is such a thing as residential proxies, and it can absolutely be. Sorry, answering a question. It could absolutely be zombie computers or bad open relays. 9 times out
Oh
of
yeah, but
10,
you'll
it's
figure that
open.
out, right? Like you won't publish it. Like, okay,
Right,
let's say you get
exactly.
the
But if it's
information
an
and there's like
open,
only a 90-year-old woman living there, you won't publish that.
right, but if it's an open relay, and here's the thing, we have an open proxy detector. If your port 80 or common port is open, we would know that. If you've pwned an authentication required proxy or something like that, which I don't think most of them have the capability of doing this. Most of them are not that smart. Right? It's just like 4chan. You had your groups within Anon who knew what they were doing, and then you had the thousands of mindless followers who would just plug things into low orbit ion
Mm-hmm.
cannon. They were helping. Kiwi Farms is even bigger of a split. It's maybe 95% of people who would just plug in stuff to low orbit, and then 5% who have any sort of skill.
Jesus, I mean, I'd go farther. I'd say it's 99.1 because the errors that they make are so bad. I mean, I could say some of the ones they've made in my thread, but you go first because I bet they're worse. Because my thread is boring. It's about like people argue about my tweets. Am I right? Is Fred right in this tweet or is Fred wrong? Like it's just like an alternate Twitter timeline. It's dumb. And then other shit that they do is just like be yeah, I can't wait until he dies. That one. And then it's so, but I've seen them make big errors, and we can talk about some of the ones they made with Keffels. But if you
And
could speak
not
to,
just Keffels. So I'm involved in investigations against zoo sadism and bestiality. And after the leaks, the 2018 zoo sadism leaks by Pseudonym or Aquila or however you know them, Kiwi Farms botched so many of those investigations. And I don't mean Kiwi Farms wasn't solely responsible. I can't get into details of everyone who was responsible. But Kiwi Farms tipped so many of those disgusting evil people off that they went on a DFE spree, deleted a whole bunch of stuff, encrypted a whole bunch of stuff, and they got off of charges because of that. So even Kiwi Farms likes to
wow,
use the argument that we expose terrible people. These people
yeah,
deserve to be on the site. You botched a criminal investigation. Those people deserve to be in jail. And you made Kira the Wolf famous or whatever. Okay, awesome. But he would have been in jail if it wasn't for your botchery.
that's really incredible. I'm kind of speechless because okay, the person that I was going to talk to who didn't show up, at Burn 8, right? They use this line and used to at least, right? like they saw kind of how this Kiwi Farms inspired research is shit, right? And so they came around. But I, I, I would have never thought of that. But you're totally correct. I mean, of course that happens. Of course they botch it. Yeah, because like, I've had some Kiro defenders recently like message me. You know,
How do you even defend that? Anyway,
well, people basically say he's not in jail, right? So he didn't do it.
because there's a statute of limitations, and because of the Fifth Amendment, actually prevents the government from compelling you to give them encryption keys. That's why he's not in jail. A combination of the statute of limitations and the
Would you say that Kiwi Farms is partially to blame?
Yes, absolutely. They put what they had on him publicly. They tipped not just him, they are tipping all of these people off. You'll notice when I investigated Cupid, I did not go public with that until he was charged. Okay? Until the court bit was done, he was dealt with, they had their evidence. Kiwi Farms is posting all of this while law enforcement is still doing their investigation, and they're tipping these people off, and they're getting away with terrible acts. And Kiwi Farms is like, herder, I'm over here helping save the world. To be self-righteous.
I'm so glad I had you on because I didn't know this. I mean, they point to Nick Bait as like the example, of whatever good they've done in the world that even somebody like me can't argue with. Oh, but we put Nick Bait in jail. And, okay, yeah, you put one in jail, sort of. I think other people actually did that, but like, all right, I can give you that one, but wow, they fucked up the Kiro thing? Now, oh my god, these guys.
The whole Zeus sadism, like ring investigation, not just Kiro, they
Right,
messed
the other
up with
people.
a bunch of them. Yes, and when you say they put Nick Bait in jail, well, I don't know, because I'll give you an example. The leaker of the Zeus sadism leaks originally went to Kiwi Farms because they felt that law enforcement was not acting quick enough and they kind of wanted to go on the exposure route. They stopped posting because they realized this is not, early into it, this isn't where I want to post shit. People are speculating, people are doing things that are causing problems for the investigation, etc., etc. And that's why the original poster pulled out. And then Kiwi Farms continued to shit all over the investigations.
Yeah, wow. Also, I see at Burn in our chat. I'm sorry, you're right, yes. You would go on Kiwi Farms, though, and look at it, and I know that you would. So, you can't go against that, but yeah, like, you weren't like a poster there, sure, right? And I know that you mostly just found Jim Medicare funny, okay? I get that too. Like, you know, I still, and I'm really glad that you understood that they fuck things up in major ways constantly. Like, I only thought that their research was bad before I did this stream, but oh my god, they have actually made it so that the people that they fucking hate are not in jail? Like, how do you fuck up worse than that? Okay, I have kept things quiet for months before, like, because of Jim Watkins. I won't go too much into it because it's totally unrelated, but like the BBS Pink investigation, where I was able to prove that, in the early 2000s, he had a site that was specifically set up to have public threads where people would report like the pedophile posts, and for an entire like month or 2 months in 2005, no post got deleted. So it was basically just like a legal way for him to pretend to be doing something about the pedophilia on his site, but while doing nothing. And also the global report queue was public, so it was essentially a clear web pedo site. I was able to prove all that, and I kept it secret for months because if all of that fucking shit had leaked onto something like the Kiwi Farms, right? He would have been able to DFE, and so, God, I guess I just never thought about it because I guess I guess I just think that the Kiwi Farms is so incompetent that they never actually find anyone. Like And that's kind of why I was willing to believe maybe the Kiro defender a little bit, because because they make so many mistakes. They accuse people for no reason, uh, just because, oh, you followed this account, and okay, maybe that account changed its name, or I mean, I follow back almost everyone, so what? I I really,
Yeah, they do a lot of guilt by association,
yes,
and that's when you're doing an investigation into a ring, association is something that you do have to look at. If I've got 3 people who I'm looking at for being potential zoophiles, there is a level of if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably not a wolf. I mean, there is a level of that. But at the same time, you have to use other indicators. You can't just use, well, this person follows or talks to or has casually said hi to this person once or twice, right? I'm following a bunch of people on my Twitter, for example, people who liked my Drop Kiwi Farms post. I followed them for it because it's like, oh, cool, campaign. I'll help you organize. Let's follow each other, disseminate. Have I looked at half of those accounts other than the fact that they liked that post? Probably not. So if they go back in and be like, about 2 months later, oh my gosh, Nye has been following this person for 2 months and blah blah blah. Well, yeah, I followed them because they liked a single post.
I don't want to
And
interrupt you, but this Eric89074 person is definitely, at least I think, it's funny I had it wrong twice in a row on Twitter. Probably a Kiwi Farms person. I'm gonna answer what they said though about KF will be fine. No, they fucking won't. I mean, okay. Do you have any opinions, by the way? You're the guest, so like, do you have any opinions on where we're going from here? Because I sure.
So the fact that Cloudflare, as far as Kiwi Farms being fine, the fact that Cloudflare essentially said, "Hey, look, we've engaged law enforcement." Generally, that's not how this happens. Usually, if there is an issue with life safety, and Facebook and Twitter and all the big social media sites actually have a way for a police officer or federal law enforcement agent to contact them without a warrant and say, look, we believe somebody's life is in danger. You need to A, shut an account down, or B, provide us with this information. I think that's probably likely what happened with Kiwi Farms. I think there was probably a Fed contact or a police contact to Cloudflare, and they probably responded to it, and they probably blocked access to the site as a result. I don't think that this is simply, oh well, now they're off Cloudflare, they're going to move somewhere else.
No, it isn't. Did you follow what happened with 8chan or the Daily Stormer at all? The last 2 Cloudflare things. Good. So
I think they're gonna. I think you're right. Sorry, on your tweet. I think they're gonna become a liability to the upstream provider and to the other customers of their current DDoS protection solution, just as your site did.
yeah,
And I think they're gonna be booted off.
oh yeah, DDoS guard. Ha. Okay, I'm gonna make a prophecy here. If DDoS guard lasts more than a week, I will be fucking surprised. Like, legitimately, I will start wondering if like the Russian government is not like involved somehow and pulled the string, because DDoS guard has folded every time. It always folds. It is like the paper condom of the DDoS guard like solutions, right? It works for a gaming server, like it'll work for your Minecraft server or your IRC or whatever, but for something that is actually under a lot of scrutiny, and people know that they can just like send a bunch of packets at it, it's not gonna work. And it's also DDoS guard fucking ru. So are you. The Ukraine war is in progress, and a lot of deep peering has happened, between the Russian internet and the Western. And just because companies are kind of afraid of taking Russian money, right? And so I think DDoS guard is probably in a worse solution than that, like to try to keep the Kiwi Farms online for Western audiences. And so unless they're fucking forced by Putin, which, why would he even do that? You know, like, he, it,
And that's another thing. So the Russian communications regulator, actually, one of the reasons that they block access to and shut down sites, funnily enough, is encouraging or posting instructions on suicide. That's a reason to get the Russian communication censor to block you. That was actually one of the first things they started censoring over before there were directives to censor political speech. So now not only do they have to deal with how easily DDoS guard will fold, they have the .ru domain, which is controlled, by the Russian state essentially. They can get their domain name and such pulled as well by the Russian.
why did they move to a .ru domain? Like, he didn't lose his domain when he lost Cloudflare. Why did he do that?
I believe he, in his mind, and I think there's some incompetence here too. But well, Russia and the U.S. don't get along, and I'm sure that Cloudflare folded as a U.S. company, so I'm going to take it to Russia. I mean, that's how people like Moon think. They don't think on a grander scale. They don't think, okay, well, you know what? You're right. The Russians and the Americans are not getting along right now, but that doesn't mean that Russia doesn't enforce its own sort of standards. Russia may not like trans people. Okay, cool. But Russia also, from the history of actions by their censor, does not like it when online sites essentially encourage suicide. They have shut people down for it. And I have no doubt that
Yes.
if a complaint is made, that they'll shut Kiwi
I
Farms
actually
down.
have a story about this, funny enough, because it came up with deplatforming efforts against 8chan. So one of the sites, like, because 8chan, they tried DDoS guard as well, by the way, and it lasted like 3 days. So, good luck, Moon. You're gonna need it. I bet right now, like literally now, DDoS guard is thinking of how they're gonna break it to the public. I guarantee it, because they just, it makes no financial sense. Yeah, because they'll just get packeted and packeted and packeted and packeted, and all of their actually, like, the customers that are not big risks but use them because, like, once in a while somebody DDoSes their gaming stream, but they actually can't use something like Cloudflare. Like, it has to be, like a WebSocket server. It has to be, that kind of real time communication. Yeah, they're fucked. And so, DDoS guard is not going to last. And as we discussed, Vanwa Tech is very unlikely to be able to take on Moon right now. Even if Jim was willing, because of how much trouble they've had even keeping 8kun online. Even the ballless 8kun that now exists. I came up with this galaxy brain interpretation that, 8chan, yeah, okay. Like, the cock on 8chan's bull was like board creation, right? So that the new 8kun is like a cockless bull, but why I say that is because if you can't create boards, you cannot so easily create, like, terms of service violating content. The users can't. Like, they really can only discuss aloud topics like fucking QAnon. Like, Jim did not recreate the pole board, which, led to all the shootings, right? Because of what I did. He didn't want to have to do this, That's why he hates me so much. It's why he's starting to kill me twice so far. Yeah. Oh, this stream is always lit. Man, you're teaching me so much, actually. I'm very glad I did it. Okay. So, but, what is the grand plan? Like, Kiwi Farms, really, I only think it's got two options. And neither are good for them. Either they're just going to have to, bounce around like Moon does himself, around Eastern Europe. Where is he right now? Ruma, Serbia, right? I mean, that's, as far as I know, that's accurate. He throws stones from his glass house in fucking Ruma. Yeah, that's where he is. And who knows, like, one of the funniest controversies is the Ukraine visa controversy, because, he used to pretend that you couldn't delete threads. But then he offered to do, like, okay, not delete, but delist from the Google search results the thread of Gonzalo Lira, so-called Coach Red Pill and MRA. if that person would give him, like, do immigration fraud for him. So basically, hire Josh Moon, in quotes there, for $20,000 a month, and then Moon would pay back the $20,000, right? And then it would have looked like on paper to the Ukrainian authorities that Moon had a job in Ukraine, and then he could actually get a work visa. Yeah.
And then he pissed off the person, right? Like
Uh-huh.
made a threat at him or something, and they're just like, screw that.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. And that person posted it publicly and gave, like, basically the first proof that anyone had that Moon, like, actually, like, protects people for his own advantage. You know, at least I think that was the first proof. Like, I could be wrong, but that was the first one that was super solid. Like, you know, because this dude Gonzalo Lira, Coach Red Pill, he was actually liked by a lot of the Kiwi users. You know, because he's like a far right, you know, MRA dickhead. So, oh my god, yeah, that was not a. That's how Ethan Ralph, by the way. Oh my god, all the characters in this story.
They hate Ralph so much. Like, if you follow their Telegram, like they were at least the last couple days, they were mentioning him for like no reason. Like they just hate. Like if I search Ralph in there right now, we have some from literally less than 2 minutes ago. Somebody's mentioning Ethan Ralph. Like they have this hate focus on him, and not that he's a great person, but just the level of, oh my gosh, like they get so damn obsessed.
Well, you know why? Because Ethan Ralph is also a white nationalist, and Ethan Ralph hates trans people, right? Like,
But they don't like him. Like that's what I don't
yeah.
get.
Well, because he's a traitor. No, but they see him as a traitor. See, so I kind of want to explain the Kiwi Farms economy because I don't think people get it. Kiwi Farms is essentially a 3-tier system in economic terms. So at the bottom, you know, you have the underclass, as I call them. These are the everyday Kiwis. So they essentially are like obsessives that usually have very sus motives. As you were saying, like the person that made your thread was probably someone that was mad at you for another reason, you know? Yeah, that's very common, for not liking someone. And these guys, basically, will just do, you know, so-called research, in quotation marks, and just all day long posting on the Kiwi Farms. And most of that is even so dumb that the other Kiwi farmers call it out. You know, like it's so galaxy brain, or it's just so stupid, and yeah. So most of that goes nowhere. But occasionally, every once in a while, something will get posted that will kind of like rise in true. Like they'll start seeing it as true. You know, and when that happens, it gets bumped up to tier 2. So the tier 2 of the Kiwi Farms economy is people like, okay, great example, Andrew Worski.
Yep. Well, people like that.
PPP, very big one. Flamenco, Dame Pesos, it used to be Mundane Matt, but no longer. They turned on him.
And by stupid face, I mean the user, not an individual with a stupid face.
Yeah.
To be clear.
These are basically just low charisma streamers. But what they do is they are essentially aggregators of the Kiwi Farms. And, you know, this is how the Kiwi Farms is kind of able to remain monetized and profitable. It's not exactly public, but you don't need to be a genius to figure out that they rely on the Kiwi Farms for almost all their content. And a lot of them are kicking back a lot of their super chats to the Kiwi Farms. Either publicly, you know, like admitting that they're doing that. Like, you know.
Like Turkey Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You know a lot of this stuff. It's great. It's really good. Yeah. It's really good. I just don't think my followers on Twitter know. And so that's tier 2. But tier 3. So, when there is a consensus among the tier 2 chuds, you know, when Dame Pesos says, you know, thumbs up, when Flamenco says thumbs up, and when, you know, PPP, Worski, Baked Alaska, you know, all of the chuds are in agreement. You know, this particular fact is true. Like, Keffels did this.
Well, they turned on Baked Alaska.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's funny. The names are always changing, but the economy does not fucking change. It's always the same 3-tier system with moon on top and everybody getting fucked on the bottom, especially the normal users. So anyway, it's so true. Like, you know, it's people think that they're like contributing to something in the world. I don't know. God, the Kiwi Farms has gotten trolled so many fucking times. I mean, even so early in its history. Remember when I thought
Taylor Green thing? That was just. Oh my gosh.
Remember Jace Connors?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
That person was a troll, remember?
Yeah.
Like, nothing was real. But the Kiwi Farms believed that Jace Connors was real. I used to believe it even. Like, I legitimately thought that Jace Connors was a real person and not a troll account.
That was like the Marine dude, right?
Yes, Deagle Nation.
I remember that.
Yep. He made like this crazy threat against, I think, Brianna Wu, maybe? But like outside of his pickup truck, you know, in like the snow. And was like waving a gun around. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, anyway, that's when things got too real for him and he had to admit that it was like performance art, you know?
So I just gotta answer this question from Powerball. We're not saying that Bake specifically is currently giving money to Kiwi Farms. I know Kiwi Farms completely turned on Baked Alaska. We're just using these names as
Yes,
an
they're
example.
examples because I don't want to give you people, like,
Okay.
I don't want to just put out there, oh, by the way, if you want to know everybody to harass that's trans, like, let me just give you, like, all the
We're
current
not
names.
Kiwi Farms. We're not going to give you a harassment list.
Yeah, or a list of follows, you know? I'm not going to give you the list of the super chats to go donate to Kiwi Farms. So, you know, I am using outdated information on purpose. So, but they used to be friendly, and you all know it. So, and by the way, I'm mad at the internet. You know, I'm mad at the internet. Powerball. He says and brags about how much fucking money he has. That he is making a nice salary now, at $30,000, and he's living like a king up in Serbia, and he's gonna be able to like finally get a family. How's that going, Josh? Probably not well. Yeah. So you know, like, I know that this is how the economy works, and obviously it just pisses him off to hear it, because you know, Powerball Pamela. I don't know if he is or not, but a lot of the, like I said, I really think it's 99-1 when it comes to the users that can research and the ones that fucking can't, with 99 against. And it's just, they will just defend Moon just because they like enjoy the website and are sad over the situation. And it doesn't really matter. And so they will just point out any perceived factual error, you know. So, but to move on, I want to talk about tier 3 because it's the funniest fucking tier. So, Jim Medicare is essentially alone with Josh Moon and right now Ethan Ralph, as those are the only ones that I think are actually in tier 3. However, obviously Moon's on top. It's weird to put Ralph in tier 3 because he fights with Moon so much, but still a lot of his content is sourced from the Kiwi Farm, so it's part of the Kiwi Farm's economy. I mean, he will talk about, like, because, like, you know, Ralph hates trans people as much as like Moon does. You know, they don't disagree on that. And so, you know, if he thinks that it could be possible to say on his show, haha, trans women don't pass good, which is like always the joke. It's the same joke every time, but you know, these guys are just dumb and they always laugh at it. I
They
don't
don't
get.
have originality. They just parrot the same bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's
Funny thing, I just have to mention the brief unholy alliance between Keffels and even Ralph for the purpose of fighting with Moon was just great.
yeah.
It was very brief, but it was funny.
It is funny. I mean, okay, if this had not happened, I would not even know who Keffels is, right? I don't play video games. I don't go on Twitch. I'm a free software developer. You know, like I would never run into this person in my life. And it's really the same. Like, the only thing that I ever talk about Ethan Ralph, like the Ethan Ralph with, is like about, the Kiwi Farms, because he remembers stuff, and I can sometimes use him as a source. Which, by the way, that is why using follows as like a way to, paint people is dumb. Because if you actually do research onto these things online, you don't try to make enemies out of people that could be sources,
Exactly.
Ralph has helped me a lot, actually, like with facts. He helped me remember the fucking name of Gonzalo Lira, I couldn't remember it. I knew it happened. I saw it when it happened. But I just, couldn't remember it. And so yeah. So,
And even investigating, they asked me, well, Naya, how could you associate with this person? They're a source. They have information. And as much as I may detest them, it's not usually a good idea to burn people.
this is a very good comment by Burn. Ralph used incorrect docs about a VTuber source from Kiwi Farms well after his fighting with them started. Yeah, exactly. And somebody else, they dox VTubers? Yes. So, okay. The VTuber thing is really interesting because it's where some of the fractures are forming in the community. Moon doesn't care about VTubers. He doesn't care. Like, he thinks it's cringe. Oh my god, he's so... Oh, he's a character. Like, that's why he wrote in his... I call it the downtime manifesto. It's what he had on the Kiwi Farms homepage during the downtime. Basically saying, like, the problem with the world is Wikipedia editors. Like, oh my god, those Wikipedia editors are ruining everything, not the fact that...
Crash. Thanks, Wikipedia.
I know. All of the Freds of the world are just ruining everything with their actual adherence to facts. What a tragedy. Regardless, I don't know if you know this, the persona page on Wikipedia is my actual persona. He's holding up citation needed. In any case, Moon has like this weird fucking system where he just allows people to moderate the VTuber form because it brings in a lot of traffic and therefore donos, which he needs. But he doesn't care about it at all, and it's become a drain on him. And what I mean by like tier 3 of the Kiwi Farms is the people like Worski or Baked Alaska or their modern equivalents, they're just not funny. They are not charismatic. They are a chore to listen to, especially PPP. Oh my god, that man. Like, I one time had to, I knew that there was something I needed to know in an episode of, that cringe show with Worski and PPP. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe Kino Casino? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's really dumb. And, like, having to listen to these two idiots talk to each other for, like, hours and hours and hours. And the discussion is nothing intellectual at all. It's just fucking, like, making oinking noises. Ethan Ralph fat, ha ha ha. Trans women don't pass good, ha ha ha. Did you see this? Like, fake news on a far-right website. Oh no, I didn't. It's probably true, based, like, that is the level that those guys are. And so, even the alt-writers don't find them entertaining, really. It's just like, they have, like, as niche audiences, The Kiwi Farms even has threads about all of them. And
well, I know that the Kiwi Farms was trying to source, like, alt-right investors, and even the alt-right doesn't really want to touch them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've got, to give the alt-right some credit, they have, not high standards, but they even have standards of, I'm not dealing with these plebs.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what the tier 3 folks are like. So, like, Ethan Ralph and Jim Medicare, who are the two main ones other than Moon, because obviously Moon just has a permanent position because he can, control the Kiwi Farms. Even though he's not that charismatic, like, Matt at the internet is not that great to listen to. And I'm not saying I'm good to listen to, right? Like, I'm autistic AF, as I've said multiple times in this stream. In fact, I screwed up the beginning. Although we did start on time for once. I recognize that about myself. These folks do not. However, Jim Medicare and Ralph to a degree are actually charismatic and actually funny, and it's even possible to say that like they could have been like radio jockeys in an earlier era. Like
Yeah.
they are actually, as much as they are assholes, they are entertaining, but they don't want to have to deal with the plebs and the bullshit, and so they essentially feed off of the tier 2 people that are like verifying quote unquote the facts, right? And that's how Moon Moon got tricked about Keffels. Because Jim Medicare bought into it. And why did Jim Medicare buy into it? Because the tier 2 influencers bought into it. You see? So it's just none of them do any of their own research, and yet they still stand, as if they're just like here verifying the facts for you folks. Yeah, I mean, I understand why people find Medicare like funny. Like it is sometimes funny to hear him make fun of Ethan Ralph. I mean, Ethan Ralph's not a great person. He's done a lot of not great stuff, and so, but it's not hard to do. And I, when like that, he looks down on all of them, and he admits this. His old name used to be Internet Aristocrat because he's grifting all of them. Like I guarantee that when Medicare ends his stream, the thing that he's thinking is like, "Wow, I just scammed a bunch of R slurs out of money again. I am so fucking smart." Because I sometimes call him King MD, like King Charisma. He is just the one that is very neurotypical and very entertaining, and so is able to scam all of them into giving him like their information, right? And he has the basic OSINT skills to be able to verify it, but not strong ones. And so
You
that's,
know,
yep, go ahead.
that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people have basic OSINT skills, but it is so easy to fool the data brokers. So you've got these people and they're doing shit, they're Google dorking shit, they're going on Ben verified. But that's so easy to feed those entities false data. So they're verifying stuff with basic OSINT skills, but that's all they've got. And a lot of times basic OSINT skills returns bad data. You get what I mean? It's like, okay, you're a step above just posting blatant bullshit on the internet, but to call something confirmed based on that, I mean, it would never stand in a court of law. It would never stand in any sort of standard of proof or evidence. But in the Kiwi Farms, it doesn't matter because all that matters is can we cause alarm? Can we make something controversial? Can we get attention? I mean, they call furries and trans women and stuff attention whores, but they're the biggest attention whores on the internet. I mean, they want their ass pats for making threads.
Yeah, for sure. They totally do. And they want their ass pats for making posts. And a lot of the farmer drama happens when, like, the sources aren't being properly credited. Because it happens a lot. Like, when things move up the chain from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, oftentimes Jim Medicare will just fucking cite himself. And so, everybody on the bottom just gets, like, shafted, fuck off, Flamenco. You didn't do anything. Yeah, who are you to me? Nobody. So, I always find that entertaining, by the way, like seeing them sometimes, because like their fans will seethe about it too, like, it's always not fair that they don't, like, Jim never mentions, like, it came from, like, our
I mean,
community.
yeah, shit rolls downhill. It's all rolling down from Moon Moon.
Yeah, please go into that, by the way, because I think you have a much greater insight than I do, being trans, first of all, because, like, I Moon Moon doesn't really target a lot of furries, I could talk a little bit about like near, also known as Bu, like why I got so over
I
that, but
was targeted because they were the combination. They were furry, they were trans, they were neurodivergent. The holy trinity for Kiwi Farms. Um, And I think what Moon likes to do is I think he likes to live on the edge of plausible deniability, but he just can't help himself and fuck up that facade. Um, I'm trans. My thread originally didn't get hardly any attention. When I really started to get attention was when my ex visited the thread and posted all that load of I'm just gonna call it what it is, horse crap. And the reason why that horse crap got attention is because it was explosive, it was dramatic, and it was about a trans person. Um, Kiwi Farms, when it comes to how they deal with people in their threads, it's like if the National Enquirer and those really trashy talk shows like Murray and there were a few others on the air. Steve Wilkos, I think, was one. It's like all of those trashy media entities, they get together, they drop a bunch of acid, and then they have the baby and they give the baby acid, and that's Kiwi Farms.
Okay, I brought up this image while you were talking, and this is, you won't be able to see it right away, but it'll come up on the screen. The image that's on Wikipedia that I'm talking about. And this is the main problem, is like, the research is so bad, but the things that they will accept as research is bad. For example, they will just accept a screenshot, and if somebody that they trust says, "Oh, it disappeared too fast, guys. Wasn't able to archive it." Like, a lot of them will just believe that, and especially if something has also receded into the past. And so, maybe the archive disappeared. Maybe a whole bunch of things could have happened, right? Links break, the longer something...
I'll give you an example of how stuff is transformed. So they went from Naya has been seen talking to a zoo file, and again, it's a known fact that I investigate zoo files. I'm part of the reason that Cupid the Deer, Matthew Grabowski, is sitting in jail right now. But aside from that point, they went from Naya has been seen talking to a zoo file online to, oh my god, Naya is a pedo zoo kidnapping piece of, just the transformation, and that's how it happens, and it depends on the tier of the user. If some unknown user says, "Hey, I've got screenshots of X, Y, and Z," but it's not verified, they're gonna laugh at him, they're gonna ridicule him. But if someone like Stupid Face or someone like the tier 2 people say that, it's just accepted as fact.
Exactly.
There's this reputation economy where these people, and that's why they use Kiwi Farms. It makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel like they are the final, I guess, arbiter of, is this true information or not? And they have the power to cause chaos about it.
Oh yeah, you can tell that, like, for example, when you listen to the Kino Casino PPP show, this makes him feel really powerful. Being able to be an arbiter of facts in his mind, and I, without any actual checks or balances, I understand to a degree, which is another reason I brought up the image, because like Moon really fucking hates Wikipedia, but Wikipedia has everything that the Kiwi Farms actually claims to want to be. It has standards against doing original research, for example. It has standards about the kinds of photos you can use. And it's not like I, as a non-admin, and even an admin cannot just do whatever the hell they want. Like, there is a foundation that owns it. There's all of these, horrible checks and balances that don't allow losers, to be quite honest, to build up a rapport among the users there, and then to be able to insert some fake information along with the real. Because that's how it happens. They know that they're just an anonymous account, right? But they, have a name, like, as you've said, like, the username Stupid Face, and they have built up such a rapport that people just trust them. And so, it's not that hard to fake a screenshot at all. Yeah. Somebody asked like what archives would work. Well, I feel like you could talk about this a little better, but I a lot of websites these days are just trying to make themselves harder to archive, and it sucks. Um,
Yeah, so Archive, I think it used to be archive.md way back when. I think it's active on, give me 1 second, archive.ph. There's nothing wrong with a general archive and with keeping information and stuff like that for if a site goes down. That's not what anybody is against. And for Kiwi Farms to say that it's a benevolent archiver is complete and total bullshit. That's what archive.ph is. They don't discriminate what they keep data on, but they also don't post a discussion forum dedicated to the harassment of people in it. And again, with things being harder to archive, you're correct. I know archive.ph, Twitter has made some sort of change to make it harder for their stuff to get archived.
yeah, like it's impossible to do video or to archive video on archive.ph now. Um, Facebook is really hard to archive. Uh,
At one point, when we stopped doing this after we were attacked, but at one point, community was blocking the whole, all of the IPs known to be used by the archiver. In a self defense mechanism because it was being used against us by Kiwi Farms. We since rescinded all of those blocks, but stuff like Kiwi Farms, they're making people resistant to archiving and archiving, keeping record of sites because they can go down forever. Keeping those records is important. And you've got people like Kiwi Farms, and that's why people are kind of coming out against it. And I know I sound a little disorganized in my speech right now, but my main point is I'm not against archiving. I think archiving is a wonderful thing. And I think sites like Kiwi Farms do more to harm that effort than they do to help it.
totally agree. I am. I think we're gonna take a break. We've been going an hour 45, and it's not gonna be a long one. 5 minutes. I really need one.
I do as well.
Yeah, I really need one. So I was gonna cut in with that. I also need to organize my thoughts and figure out, if there's anything else that we need to talk about. Thank you so much for doing this. By the way, I I learned a lot. I hope people have learned a lot from this. You know, I, I really have. So we're just gonna listen to the Korean pop music as usual. And yep, we will be back. Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
아, 사랑은 불길 같아라. 그 불길 막을 La vie souvenir why you say Cousins of ruins grow high you say Don't need to steal your heart It's easy Easy Hey Don't kick a left forever right We cannot live together straight Don't need to change your love from me. You look good, can't you see, brother Louis? I'm in love with supreme, ocean's only looking to me. Only love breaks the fine, brother Louis. Only love started fine, ocean's only looking to me. Brother Louis, ocean's only looking to me. Only Louis, he's undercover. Brother Louis, oh, everybody knew it. So
Okay, so we're back. You probably heard the notification. You probably heard the music stop too fast. Well, actually, while I was away, I thought of a way to fix that. Finally, I obviously Pipewire has an API, right? They have to. I worked with the Pulse Audio one a while ago, but yeah, no, the QPW graph thing that I'm using is not the only way. It can't be. So, what I have to actually do, I think, is just have, like, write my own program, basically, and that'll be a lot more secure, first of all, but it also is not like a hard program, it's just plug the inputs in automatically so that it will never go wrong and Fred doesn't have to look for it. Because when I said that I'm bad at, like, hand-eye coordination, that's part of it. Like, doing things, under pressure, it takes me for fucking ever. So, yeah. Anyway, we should wrap this up. I feel like it went great. What do you think?
I think it went well. We got a single troll in the chat, who I'm getting rid of now. But other than that, we're doing quite well.
Well, single troll in the chat, nobody got swatted. I mean, I consider that a success. I don't know about you, but I consider it a success. Well, and also, this is probably the most popular one I've done live. Now, some of them, like, because I don't delete them, they get watched a lot, especially, like, the Jim Watkins Death Threat one, but I know, I think this will be probably our most popular episode. Did you have any closing thoughts?
Other than Moon being a baby man-child, which we already know about. So I think I'm going to close it off with an awu, because that's just tradition for me.
Well, maybe before you do that, could I at least know, like, what you're doing now? Because I didn't know that you were on, like, a popular Therian forum, and if I didn't know, I very much doubt that, my fault.
So I do a bunch of things. I am an investigator of animal sex abuse as well as CSA, which I can't say on YouTube, so that's why I'm using the abbreviation. I run the Otherkin forum community. I run the Fediverse instance Howler, and I'm doing some InfoSec stuff on the side. So I do a few different things.
Wow, damn. So when I was derping around with that Jitsi server, you were probably like, oh my god, this man needs to get good. Because I have not run, like, a popular web service in a very long time.
Let's be honest. There's times where I've explored with platforms that I have not used before, and I'll be screwing around with it for a good half an hour. So I was more of a, okay, I've had these moments, I get it.
Yeah, because my Jitsi server was actually originally, I didn't care if people were going to waste the bandwidth on it, like if they wanted to make meetings, because it was possible to make, like, password protected ones, so it was fine. But, like, people are trolls and they were just attacking it, they found it. And so that's why I had to make it more secure, but in doing that I broke it. So I'll fix it though. Okay, I will let you, end it how you wanted now. I just, I did want to give you a chance to, like, tell people who you are, because they know me because I
am an investigator and a well-known Therian who goes awu. In fact, give me 1 second. Speaking of going awu, I always try to end on this note.
That was really impressive. Okay, I am ending it right there. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I just hit end.
Awesome.
Wow, that